Hey everybody, and welcome to a Training Thursday. A time-appropriate Training Thursday, to be honest. I'm super excited to talk to you guys about some of the things that have helped me stay sane, some of the things that I was most fearful of, some of the things that I worried about the most about working from home, and how to overcome them. So let me know if you are joining, and let me know if you have any questions in particular about what it's like to work from home, any fears that you might be having from working from home, and some of the things that you might want to consider when it comes to the state of play that we have at the moment, and possibly what we might be looking at for the future of practice. All right, who's joining us? Hey Josie, hey Janelle, hey Susie, hey Zoe, hey Anita. Nice to see you guys. Who is working from home today? High fives to anybody who happens to be working from home, and chime in because it's all part of the conversation. The more that we can talk about some of these things as a collective and not just one person's point of view on it, the better off we're all going to be, because we all get these other facets of the diamond that is the way that we're doing business for now. Hey Nita, nice to see you, lovely. Hey Christina, you're back. I'm loving your work at the moment. Hey Brooke, hey Lara. All right, so when I was considering moving home, I had a big multimodality practice, and we had 9 practitioners or part-timers, and we ran workshops on a weekly basis there. And I continued to run retreats and conferences and other workshops. I was so scared about having to work from home. After I sold my practice, I was like, what's going to happen? We're going to have people in the background putting their things in and out of the fridge, making noise, wandering around. Come on. People pushing my buttons. This is Murray, my husband, who's also working from home, because the interesting thing is about half the time he is generally away for work. So he runs programs interstate and does other things, but right now he's here doing all of his stuff online. And we have our kids home at the moment as well. And so it's a really interesting time. So don't think you're alone in this. We are all in it together. Brooks put her hand up. She's in the wonderful state of Tasmania that just called for self-isolation for anybody coming back there. Christina working from home most days. Janelle is working from home. Josie work from home full time and have done so for years and love it. Now, it's super cool if you love it. Really amazing. But if you're a little bit fearful about it, like I was like, what's going to happen? Is there going to be noises in the background? Will it look professional? Do I have to share my space with my family for that period of time? Because, you know, when I first had Elliot, I was super keen to go back to work. I was so excited to actually see adults and so excited to interact in that other way that when I considered I would have to be at home all the time, it didn't really float my boat. So there might be some of you guys out there that are thinking the same thing and freaking out about having to do all this stuff. But I know so many of our community are also homeschoolers and other like epic superwomen that you guys are used to this. But I wanted to share 5 of the things that has helped me get over my fears through the experience of it. It's one thing to think about something, and it's the same with any part of our business. So thinking about doing it before we go ahead and do it. It's a really different experience to live through it and then realize what the lessons are on the other side, right? And so through living the experience of working from home for the past 5 years, I wanted to share my top 5 tips. And I just thought of a 6th one, actually. My top 5 tips around, and plus a bonus 6th one, around what it looks like to work from home and how to do it successfully, because you know, our business is thriving, our kids are thriving, and the way in which I interact, particularly with my husband, is so much fun, because we actually do get to see one another more. So I'm going to share with you what works from here. Hey Carla, hey Anita. Christina says, I work from home and we homeschool. So most of my family is here all of the time. holy dolly. I know that many of our tribe actually homeschool as well, just like Christina. And some of you guys, there's a couple of you guys that have lived in buses and things like that. So I'm really looking forward to this conversation. All right, number one is all about time management. Now, Carla popped a post up in the Naturpreneur Hub today, all about what time management looks like. And you can see over here, this is a 1 hour timepiece. It's a 1 hour hourglass. Quite literally hourglass. And I gave one of these and gifted one of these to every single person who came to NatX 2020 because I found them so useful, and Carla found a new use for hers, having her children home. And it's what can get done in 1 hour. How can we focus our attention and pay attention and focus to something for 1 hour? And for me, one of the biggest things that we teach in the Naturpreneur journey is how much we just get to every Friday and go, oh, where did my week go? And in 15-minute increments, our weeks disappear because we're either paying attention to what's going on in our head, some random thing that, is mulling over, listening to the negative thought patterns we might have, or the comparisonitis, or going into a death scroll in social media. And in actual fact, these 15-minute increments or 1 hour increments can be so much more useful if we were to actually prepare for it. Prior preparation prevents poor performance. And so how can we manage our time, particularly if we're working from home? So my suggestion is getting something along the lines of a planner. Making sure that you have some type of plan, either for your day or your week. And I love different planners. I'm a Kiki K freak and a stationery hoarder. So if you have the opportunity to, of course, if you want to do a monthly one, I happen to have it on download, by the way, which also has the days, the health days of the week. So you can go and check that out in tammyguest.com/resources. But if you're planning your time out, it's a much easier way to be able to communicate what's happening in the house. So for instance, right now, we have my 17-year-old with 3 of his 17-year-old friends, my 10-year-old and my 22-year-old and my husband all in the house. But because we're aware of what parts of the day each of us is doing things, then it's nice and quiet in this part of the house. It's nice and easy for my hubby to be recording his podcast things in the other part of the house. The only one who doesn't agree with all of this is my dog, who's over there trying to get out of our house. So having a plan not only allows you to be nice and clear on what you want to achieve by the end of the day, but it also creates a level of control about what's happening. Rather than just being open to the flow of the death scroll on social media or what's happening in the news or getting into, Netflix binge-worthiness. And now all of these things have their time and their place. But when you start to have that notion in your head about, where did my week go? Or what did I actually get done today? If you're on the front foot and you're proactive in what you want to achieve in your week, or how you want to create time and space for your family and other things, as well as feel like you have actually done something for your income or your clients, then you want to be proactive rather than reactive to the things that are happening in your house, the things that people are asking you to do, and reactive to what's coming into your inbox, for instance. All right. Anyone else got any other tips on that? Hey, Kimmy, nice to see you. Hey, Chanel, fellow stationery hoarder here. High fives, Kimmy. Awesome. Yes. So Nick's really enjoying coordinating this too. My animals like to make many appearances as well. Yeah. So the other interesting thing, and my son actually put it together the other day. We created a little a family planner for what's happening in the mornings, because it's based around our cycles. So we're all much more productive in the mornings. My daughter did her 1 hour gym session out on our home gym today. And Elliot's most productive first thing in the morning as well. So he's like up and at it, and he's doing reading and mathletics and all this other stuff. And I'm here really productive, creating different things and active mode, but my brain totally shuts down at about 2 o'clock. So people send me messages after 2 on email, and I'm like, And so if we can provide a schedule that is in alignment with our strengths in our cycles of our energy, then we're better off being able to do that as a family, and then follow through later on in the afternoon with things like we've been playing, I'm pointing over there like you guys can see it. We've been playing chess and backgammon in the afternoons so that we can have family time and connection time. We've also got some of the other card games out to have at dinner and things like that. So scheduling not only things for your business, because the priority is to keep your business going, and what that means is you're either servicing current clients, you are acquiring new clients, or you are potentially trying to scope out for future clients. So you've got to be making sure that those things are being looked after at the same time, of course, with your health, your well-being, and your family. But if you're proactive about it rather than reactive, you're going to have a much better chance of actually achieving that. Hey, Rowie, nice to see you. Number 2, external accountability. Now, the thing when I first started working from home, what I didn't realize is it's not a 9-to-5 gig, right? It's not like going to work. You actually you're in charge of it. So you can choose your hours, but when you choose your hours, what's worked for me is external accountability, that I'll show up for that thing. And so notice that I actually have a little dash of makeup because I'm turning up for you guys. Now, I'll give you the sneaky truth of it all though, right? So I've got my makeup, I've got literally my work clothes on, which I get to choose, but I also have my Uggies on. So this is the thing, right? You get to choose it, but you still need to externally hold yourself accountable so that you show up and you feel like you're at work. Because if you don't zhuzh yourself up, feel like you're at work, it's super easy to go into the social media death scroll. It's super easy to decide, today's a pajama day in Netflix. And it's super easy for that to rub off on your kids as well if you do have them at home for this upcoming period, or you are homeschooling them. So my suggestion is find a way to be externally accountable. Find a way to say, yep, I'm going to show up for this live every day. Yep, I'm going to show up for these Zoom calls. Yep, I'm going to show up for this phone call, and actually go and have the shower, get out of your pajamas and put a bra on if that's your thing, and do the things that you need to do to make yourself in that work mode. Because without it, it's super easy to let everything slide. Those little excuses are always going to be hidden over your shoulder, and it's much easier to listen to those excuses if you don't feel like you're at work. Just a suggestion. All right. Hey, Al, nice to see you. Number 3 is show up. Show up in a way that you have to show up for work. You are your boss, and I've done a lot of trainings on this before, that you have boss time and you have employee time. Now, if you're going to show up as your boss is going to show up in a different way to what you as the employee who gets the work done, the GSD, get shit done mode. You've got both of those to look after when you're your own boss. So you need to show up as the boss, and then you need to show up as the employee and get the stuff done. And if you don't show up, then it all just starts to slide. Those clients that you currently have aren't being looked after. The clients that you are looking for aren't going to find you. And the clients that you want to reinvigorate from the past might not be there to listen to you because you haven't shown up persistently and consistently. And I can't bang on about this enough. Don't completely disappear. I know it's a nice quiet time for many of us. I know like the world wants a break and all that kind of stuff. But we're in the health field right now. And people are in a health crisis and a stress crisis, and we need to show up. We need to show up at our work, and at the moment our work is online. So show up. That's number 3. And it's really super easy to feel like you don't want to show up. Like you get out of your pajamas and nobody got out of bed in your pajamas. No one's there to tell you that you have to have a shower. No one's there to tell you that you need to get ready for work. Because you could just do that phone call rather than Zoom call. And you could just do and there's all of the excuses are literally just there in the back. And until you put your boss britches on, and then until you put your employee get shit done mode on, that stuff doesn't get done. It's super easy for it to slide. So otherwise, show up. This is a real business that you're running and you're continuing to run it. You just happen to be in a different location. All right. Number 4, communicate your needs. Now, this is a big one. Kimmy says, just back to what I was saying, love that showing up tip on being externally accountable. Bra on makes a massive difference. I couldn't agree more. Chucking your bra on is like, yep, it's time. And, some of these little really interesting nuances. When I have earrings on, I feel like I'm doing the thing. And I know that there's, I spoke to some of the sales reps that were there at NADEX, and they were saying when they have their high-heeled shoes on, when they have their fancy shoes on, it's like they're showing up for work. It's like their work uniform. So you have to find a new work uniform to be at home that you would be wearing at work. So you're showing up. So yeah, I love that too, Kimmy. All right. Number 4, communicate your needs. This is really important, especially if you don't have a house to yourself. It is hugely important to talk. People in your house do not know about your schedule. They do not have your calendar at the front of their mind. They don't understand your needs for this area within this space to be taken up only by this and not the Frisbee or the Lego or the computer or the TV on or any of that kind of stuff, unless you communicate it. Now, communication is a two-way street, and we continually forget about this. One that we do as predominantly as women is we expect everybody to think that they should know about what we're thinking about. They don't. They have no idea what's going on in our heads unless we speak it. And when we speak it, we think that this is a one-way direction and there shouldn't be anything on the way back. But communication is a cycle. So it goes A, B, and then it'll continue to flow. But if you don't communicate your needs, then things will be your expectations won't be met. You'll be annoyed, you'll be frustrated. Why aren't people thinking about me or them? Because they're thinking about all their own stuff in their head. And when you're making up stories about what's going on in their heads, then they aren't being able to communicate back. I'm this close to letting my dog out because he doesn't quite communicate the same way as humans do. So when it comes to making sure that people understand what you need from them and the time frame you need from them, then expectations are set. And when they're either met or they aren't met, you then are able to have a conversation to reinstate those expectations or recommit to a new expectation. It's as simple as that. We don't need to get all frustrated with one another. We don't get to disappointed, all of the other emotions that might be attached to that. It's the fact that you need to communicate your needs, and then whether or not they can be met, or if you need to negotiate and come to a new agreement or a new commitment. And once that commitment's set, see what happens. Sometimes it's met and sometimes it's not, but then you can come to a new recommitment. Otherwise, long term, it's really difficult to hold a space, particularly at home, with people who are just pretending that somebody has something going on inside their head when you're not aware of what the actual facts are about what's going on in there. So communication and communicating your needs is hugely important. Sometimes those needs are things like sharing the microphone. Other times they might be not putting the kettle on in the background when you're talking on your live. Other times it might be when you're on your online consultations that no one's to walk into the room for the confidentiality of you and the person that you're speaking to. So, and other times it might be, look, I've got back-to-back such and such. Can you please make me some lunch today? Like, I've got everything ready. Please do that. So making sure that you're requesting and continuing communication, especially if you're in another space, is really, really important. All right, number 5, connect with others. It's really isolating to be at home. There's a reason that all this stuff is coming out about the psychological impact of being all by yourself. And we live in this world where we can actually communicate to people. So a few of you guys in the Naturpreneur Hub have been mentioning about connecting. It's one thing to mention it. It's another thing to message and send a Zoom link and then get on a call, because you could literally be on that call for 5 minutes and it could totally change your day. It might be the conversation that you need to have. It might be the brightening up. It might be the connection that you were missing. Or it might just be a sounding board for how you're feeling. In any case, make sure that you continue to connect with one another. If you have a local either business person or mum or homeschooler or somebody else that's local to you and it's safe at the moment for you to connect, make sure you go and have a cup of tea with them. Less than 100 people in a room, go and have a cup of tea. Go and actually be real with somebody about your hopes, your fears, your dreams, your expectations, your frustrations. And once that's all out, new stuff can come through. But when you're in by yourself, it changes everything. All right. So, Kimmy says, yep, connect with others. This is why I love the hub. It's why I love the hub too. And it's why I love everybody being so beautifully vulnerable about their inspirations, hashtag celebrate any day, and their perspirations, aha moments or ask any day, because we're all really human. And we all really need to know that other humans are going through the human aspect of being a being. So, connect. Open up. Make sure you ask. Make sure you're open to receiving. Yeah. Connect with others. Last one. Now, this is one I used to use when I was talking to my adrenally fatigued women that I used to help. And it is the one that I was thinking about the most, is having a positive anticipation for the future. BJ, come here. Having positive anticipation for the future. Now, this is a psychological term, positive anticipation, and what it is having a hope or a dream or a goal that you're working towards. And it could be as interesting as hopping on a Zoom with somebody, but it could be, I'm going to connect with everybody at Christmas time, or I'm going to go away on holidays with my family after all this thing is done in 6 months' time. I'm really looking forward to being able to use my new hat on our bushwalk in a few days' time. Positive anticipation not only is a psychological term that has clinically been proven to help mental health, stability, bring down your cortisol, and all of the things that you want to hear from me right now scientifically. But it keeps you sane when you're by yourself at home and you're trying to get things done that you just want to throw your computer across the room, and you realize why you're doing this in the first place. You're doing it so that you can have this thing in the future that you are working towards for you, your family, your loved ones, that's going to actually be beneficial for everybody. But the reason you're here is to feel the feelings that you know are available to you for this thing that you are working towards. So positive anticipation. For me, my positive anticipation is all about going on retreats and continuing to run my retreats. Now, although I've had to postpone or tweak some of my current retreats, I am super excited to still continue to do them and get creative about how they're going to happen later on in the year in different ways. I'm also really excited about going and taking my family away for, let's call it a retreat, for our family holiday at the end of the year that we always have. And if I have to pivot on it, that's cool. I really love hanging out with my family and going and exploring and going on adventures. What does yours look like? And have that in the back of your mind so that you know that you're not always going to be in this room all by yourself. You're not always going to be in this position. And the thing that you're doing is your big why, and you're working towards it. So hopefully these 5 have been useful to you, plus the 6th one. And if they have, make sure you share this conversation. And if you have any other tips or tricks, because you're a homeschooler, because you've worked from home for ages, because you've just suddenly all of a sudden come up with what's happening for you in self-isolation, or your partner's had to all of a sudden start working from home, or you've all of a sudden become a homeschooler, please share them. We've got a collective of amazing experienced people who are able to share all of these little tips and tricks. And if we can put them all together, there is somebody in here that's going to be able to benefit from these tips and tricks. And if you are a practitioner who is just starting to do this online, don't worry. There is light over the other side. There is some amazing advantages from working from home, and I'm really excited to see what you guys are going to create in this really creative time. I'm seeing all sorts of tweaks and pivots and really interesting and inspiring ways of making the most of not only your time, but the mediums that we have right now in technology and the way in which natural health is coming to the fore because of all of the stuff about looking out for people's minds, their stress levels, their interactions with their relationships, their interactions with their bodies, how they're taking care of themselves. Oh, it's such a cool time to be a practitioner, particularly for those who are embracing doing it differently. So I'm really keen to see some of these tips and tricks. So if you have them, make sure you comment below, and I will catch you next week for another Training Thursday. All right, see you guys. Bye.